Some have asked me, is it just a waste for me to rent my house instead of buying my house? Well, let's contemplate that. Because the answer is it's not necessarily a waste to rent your home. Look, you have to live somewhere. And perhaps it is more economical and more sensible and less risky for you to rent. Is there risk involved in owning a house? Well, of course there is. Think about home improvements that sometimes have to take place. Think about home repairs that have to take place. If you're the owner and your central air conditioning goes out, then you're responsible for fixing that. If you're the renter, in all likelihood, your landlord's going to be responsible for that. What if you're the owner and there's a big downturn in the housing market? That happens. There have been crashes of sorts in the housing market, and that could happen to you. Real estate is a wonderful long-term investment, but sometimes in the short term, there can be some real downturns in the market. And if you're not going to live in that area very long, if it's going to be 18 months living in that area, you may not need to buy a house. You may be taking an unnecessary risk. So as a renter, there are some advantages. Now, rent these days in America, the rent of homes is very expensive. But buying a house is also very expensive. So there's a couple of things I want to mention for you to do. Number one, get very, very familiar with mortgage calculators. Oh yeah, you need to get very familiar with that wonderful tool, mortgage calculator. And then I want you to start thinking, how much of a down payment do I need to save up so that I don't have to pay mortgage insurance? You need to get familiar with this thing called mortgage insurance. If you don't have enough down payment, you may have to be paying this stuff called mortgage insurance, which is costly. I don't like paying for mortgage insurance. And so I'm encouraging you to think realistically, do some research. Do I need to consider buying a house, or should I just rent a house? Now, someone has said that maybe the 6-year mark of renting is when it really becomes, it would have been better to have owned. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. At some point, there is a time where it would have been better if I had bought the house. So you got to do some short-term planning and some long-term planning. You got to get your funds, your financial records together and do some real analysis. In the long term, it's wonderful to be a homeowner. Renee and I, we did pay off our house. I made a video about that, how we paid off our mortgage. I suggest that you look at it. Once you get the mortgage paid off, oh my, that's wonderful. But that doesn't mean that there's no cost left involved in being a homeowner. No, you still have to pay property tax. You still have to have homeowner's insurance. And you still have to repair the house and improve the house. So all of this has to come into consideration. So do a real analysis. What's going to be best for me long term about renting or owning my home? May God bless.